Welcome to the Piedmont Triad Podcast.
Before I get too old, I'm gonna head down to Muscle Shoals. Baby, you can meet me at the station.
Welcome to another episode of the Piedmont Triad Podcast, where we explore the strange and unusual culture of the Piedmont Triad area of North Carolina. I'm your host, David Locklear, and today we're talking to Carlos Bocagera, the owner and founder of the weirdest bar in North Carolina, Monstercade, in Winston-Salem. Opened in 2017 on a shoestring budget, Monstercade has quickly garnered a reputation for being an outsider's delight, featuring an eclectic array of entertainment that includes stand-up comedy, rare Bigfoot artifacts, live punk rock shows, and YouTube programming, which includes a show called Cockblock Theater that features E.T. as the star of an old porno film. Carlos talked to me along with my friend and sister-in-law, Astrid Caspian, just before Monstercade's 5th anniversary to talk about all that they have accomplished so far and their plans for the next phase of Monstercade. The audio in this interview is a bit erratic, as we had to contend with some microphone problems and also some unexpected construction noise coming from Monstercade's next-door neighbor. However, I'm sure Carlos's charm and the stories that he tells will make the technical difficulties a bit easier to bear.
I'm Carlos Bocagera. I'm the owner and operator here at Monstercade, also the garbage man, which I'm doing a terrible job at currently. Garbage is overflowing at the moment. That's the worst occupation that I have at this place here. So anyway, yes, I'm Carlos Bocagera.
Okay, and so that kind of comes with the territory, though. When
does.
You are the business owner, you tend to get a lot of the shit jobs.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, I had to get up early this morning right before you guys came, and we were talking about that, the fact that I had a fire inspection, and we passed. So I want the insurance company to hear that on tape. We passed. If something happens, it was not me.
Flying colors.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how did you've been around for 5 years at this point? You just celebrated a 5-year anniversary this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow was our soft opening. 5 years from our soft opening. We had a band from Virginia, one of our beloved bands called Curse. They came in, and we had just gotten our license literally that morning. We ran to Raleigh, got all of our paperwork done and everything of the sort, and they gave us our license. We quickly picked up liquor and quickly picked up beer, and we opened up that night. This place used to be completely filled with arcade machines, and I had been working for 6 or 7 months on actually designing my own arcade machines. So these weren't typical arcade machines. They were all powered by Raspberry Pis. And back then, we're talking about 6 years ago, and of course this is before Monstercade opened. For about 6 years ago, there were no schematics on how to build your own arcades with Raspberry Pis. And for those of you who don't know what Raspberry Pis are, they're actually small, little teeny computers that basically have no hard drive. They just run off a very simple operating system. They're probably they're the size of a cell phone.
They're super versatile.
Super
if
small.
you know what
you're doing,
yes.
And we did not know what we were doing.
Okay.
So it took us a long time to actually figure out how to build arcade machines with running on Raspberry Pi, so that way we could keep the arcades free for everybody.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So that opening night, back to what I'm talking about, for that opening night, we actually had all of the arcades covered with sheets because they were still not fully programmed. And we were like, okay, well, what we'll do is and when I finish up the programming, I will release one and just uncover the sheet. And so we would do that, having an unveiling. But that night when we first started, so Curse came out, the place was packed. I mean, we were packed to the brim on our soft opening. All of our buds came out. We ran out of liquor. We ran out of beer. The toilet overflowed into the actual dance space.
No.
Yeah, because it was a massive line. We only have one bathroom, so there was a massive line here, and it just overflowed, as well as the power went out during Curse's performance twice. So it was nuts, the entire thing. And by the time we ended up having to shut everything down when sewage was coming out into the dance space, and so everybody was like, all right, we got to get out. Like, yeah, okay. And we looked at each other like it was me, my general manager, and my girlfriend at the time, and we all kind of looked at each other like, what the hell did we just get into? This was insane. And so we had to close down. We couldn't open up until we got like more. We had to fix the toilets, number one.
Yeah.
Find out what was going on with the electrical work, and then procure more alcohol. So it took us until the 22nd to have our hard opening. So
I
yeah,
guess there's a hard line for
Yeah.
when you can stay open when you've got sewage
Yes.
flowing
Yeah.
across the floor.
But that's the perfect Monstercade beginning, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the way it is. I mean, we still have a bunch of shit that happens here. It's just
Right.
not literal anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's awesome that you guys had such a good opening night, because and when I say good, I mean like in terms of popularity, people
Yeah.
coming in and whatnot. 'Cause you hear so many horror stories about places where they open up and, well, we had 2 customers. Here's hoping for more.
Oh,
and then
no.
it just kind of falls off the map.
No, Monstercade's been from day one. Day one, we were banging. But that's the thing is that. So I created this space, and I'm sure I'm going to go ahead and start answering somebody's question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you make this place? Because that always comes up. Raise your hand if that was your question.
Oh, it was
Kind
in
of,
my-
but
Kind
not.
of?
Can,
Okay.
okay, can I ask you more like?
No, okay, go ahead. Do your specific question because I'm going to go into that.
So, okay, what is it about the Halloween arcade theme that draws you to it enough to build a business with around?
Boom. There you go. So I was about to get into that. There you go. You're right there.
All right, right.
So Monstercade, the reason that I built Monstercade is because I am sick to death with all of the normal. I don't want to belittle other people's businesses, but they're pretty cookie cutter at the moment. So every brewery is basically interchangeable.
Yeah.
They may have different names for their beers, but I always found that to be uninspiring. So with that one specific word, uninspiring, that is why I started this place, because I wanted a place that would hopefully inspire others' creativity. When they come in, I wanted that wow factor of like, what in the world is this place, right? But it is also with the hope that someone will be inspired enough to go home and create their own Monstercade, right? I want a place that I wanted to see more places like this that I would like to go to. Some like that has a wow factor. But when I walk through the door, like, what is this? This is amazing. My bar sucks. This is great. This is great. I want more places like that. I want people to see what they can do without a lot of money. Number one, because I mean, this place, I started it with $6,000, and that's nothing.
Wow.
I was literally working. In order for this place to open up, I was working in a warehouse in High Point. It was a high-end fabric place, and I was the general manager for just a fabric warehouse. And basically, I was just unloading trucks and that kind of thing, doing any kind of odd job that I could to save up money. But it was with the hopes of, like, I'm going to create a space that looks like your best friend's basement and feels like your best friend's basement from high school that you never wanted to leave. Because everybody had that friend, right? Everybody had that friend in high school that they wanted to, like, oh, let's go hang out at Joe's house, and it's his basement. And you're doing nothing but watching TV and, like, maybe playing Xbox or PlayStation or Super Nintendo for us old guys.
Yeah.
And you never wanted to leave. That's what you did every day after school. And so it had, maybe some instruments around, and you had like a little makeshift band or whatever it was. That was the whole point. That was the whole point and the genesis of the idea of what Monstercade could be. So again, I'm excited every time that I meet new people coming in, because there's the hope that they'll take something from this place. They'll take it home, internalize it, do something creative with that information, and hopefully make more Monstercades in the future. Make something, and I tell people this all the time, go home, do something, and kick my ass. I'm serious. Go home, do better than what I'm doing, because I would love to have that. I would love to have some place that just, like, again, makes me gives me that feeling of awe, because that is really what I feel is missing from so many businesses. So many businesses in town don't take many risks, and they find a formula that works, and then they copy it, and that is the way that like humanity kind of works, right? I mean, it's not just a Winston-Salem problem. It's just a thing that like, oh, that makes money. Let me duplicate that, and then I'll tweak it a little bit. No one goes far left, and that has been always our mantra. If the mainstream is going to go right, we're going to make a hard left on it. We're going to try to do that because there are other people with alternate viewpoints and alternative likes, that will find home in whatever we're doing, going left. So,
this place actually kind of reminds me somewhat of Reanimator Records that used to be down the road.
So
there was sort of a vibe.
They were the progenitors for this place. So we came out of. I mean, we really have to give kudos to the Cranky's kids, because that's where I grew up. I grew up in that generation of the Cranky's kids. The Cranky's kids, if people don't know, Cranky's beforehand, which was the warehouse as well as PS211. Is it PS211? Yeah.
I remember when they bought that.
Yeah, they bought they bought that building back in the 90s. And it was just kind of like this cool commune of kids that like were driving around in a bus that ran off of a vegetable oil. And they would tour with that thing, and then they would bring all these weirdo bands, and I used to go to these shows growing up, right? And then from that there was like the Black Lodge. The Black Lodge was an underground club that got busted, and it used to be underneath the bridge off of 52, or not, off of 40. Yeah. Did you ever go to any shows there?
I went to a couple.
Yeah, that was crazy. That place got busted, but then it actually ended up being a real bar where Fair Witness is now.
Right.
Yeah, and so I worked there as well. I was working there saving money.
Yeah.
And I'll tell the secrets now. I mean, like, because the place is gone. But like, it'd be weird. You'd work there, and all kinds of crazy stuff happened there. I mean, that was truly ground zero for like the degenerates, like that would hang out there. And I'm not talking about like, there was a lot of good people there as well that didn't partake in stuff. But I mean, I saw all kinds of drug fights. You would get tipped in Molly and Coke and weed. I'm like, I can't pay my bills with this. What is this? This is ridiculous. Everybody was always scared because there was always like drugs hidden everywhere. Like it was nuts. It was absolute nuts. There were all kinds of weird fights there. Everything that was legendary in Winston-Salem happened at the Black Lodge. So the Black Lodge, we came from that because we cut our teeth. All of the first bartenders had cut their teeth there. So they were pretty well seasoned, and as well as Reanimator Records. Reanimator Records was a big part of who we are too, because I got to see how a small little teeny club or small little teeny space could work as a club, right? So Anthony Petrovic and Sean Peters, who ran that place, did a great job. I'm not quite sure how that place ever made money, and that's probably why they're not around anymore.
Probably explains a lot of drug income, I'm sure.
Oh no! Well, they were pretty clean. Now I won't say Reanimator. Reanimator was different. Reanimator was different. Black Lodge was a complete.
Yeah, Black Lodge
was insane.
Part of what I loved about Black Lodge was that I felt like I really needed to keep my hand on my wallet. That was actually part of the fun.
I loved it. No, I loved it. I mean, yeah, because I mean, I'd be there until 6 a.m. a lot of nights. 2 a.m. in the morning after like. Everything's supposed to close. You close the curtains, and the party goes on until the morning. So that's the way it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that place is closed, and probably the world is better for it. I mean, that place was a little bit. In fact, that used to be the rules here. The first 2 rules of Monstercade when you first started working here, when we first began, was this is not the Black Lodge. Don't treat it like the Black Lodge. Rule number 2 was this is not the Black Lodge. Don't treat it like the Black Lodge. So, like, yeah, it was an immediate, like, termination if I found drugs anywhere or... Because we run a very tight ship here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw how not to do it with Black Lodge, but I got to also see how fun it could be. And I got to see how it could work with Reanimator. So those... And as well as Cranky's, right? Because both of those places came from Cranky's.
Yeah.
And Cranky's... when it was a club, I also got to see how they could promote things and do things on a DIY level and be successful, even before the coffee. So when the coffee came in, that's when they started really kind of amping up things. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
I moved away kind of soon after they bought the warehouse, and I got to hang out there a few times, but I moved away in '97, so I missed out on a lot of.
Oh, there was some awesome shows. I saw some really cool things, and they were always really cool there.
They were.
The parties were legendary there
Yes,
too.
they were fantastic and friendly and.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
But they've completely changed, and I totally understand that. I mean, it's business now, and we all get to that point, right? I mean, like, you think that I want to be running this underground club when I'm like 60? Nope, that's not going to happen. So hopefully, I'll be able to pass the torch of Monstercade on to somebody maybe within the next 5 years.
Yeah, I was curious, like, what your future plans are for Monstercade or for other businesses.
So there are going to be some announcements pretty soon here. I will tell you that, like, that's going to be that's going to be amazing. We're extremely excited about. We're working on something really big behind the scenes, but we're not ready to make any announcements at the moment. But I can tell you, Monstercade was about to expand out into Greensboro. We were very, very close to expanding out to a big brewery. We're going to take over a big brewery in Greensboro.
Really?
And the problem is that the pandemic happened. And right before the pandemic happened, we walked away from the contracts. It was like, I saw it, and the writing was on the wall, and I had to tell the guy, like, hey, so, the pandemic will be done in 2 months. Come back right back to it, And I'm glad I didn't, because I would have lost everything on that one. Because it was a big space. We were this close to expanding to Greensboro, but the pandemic happened and it didn't happen. So, and we're better for it. It's fine. The next thing that we have on our books, you have to pay attention to our social media. We've been making really big announcements. Hopefully we'll have one within the next 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, talking about social media, I noticed that you guys, I guess it was last week or the week before, I want you to very much elaborate on the concept of Cockblock Theater. This is one of my favorite things I've ever heard of in general. I've never seen something that's been so specifically designed to give you blue balls. So tell us.
So you've never been married, I take it.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way.
So during pandemic, we did. This is the thing this goes right into the pandemic stuff. How Monstercade survived pandemic. Pandemic, going along with what I was just talking about with Greensboro, is the fact that we saw what was happening in New York and New Jersey. I mean, at the time when the pandemic was starting to hit in the United States, 300 people were dying a day in Jersey alone, a day. There were not cases of getting it. There were over 300 people dying a day. This is the first few weeks, and they were shutting New York and shutting New Jersey down. I sat all of the staff down and said, I've got an idea. This is coming, obviously, to North Carolina. We're going to get shut down very soon. I've got an idea to save us. I can't make you work. You guys will have to just decide what you feel comfortable with, but I want to fight this creatively. I think I can do this. I think we can do this. And for the most part, everybody signed off on it, and everybody came to work. And we closed indoors when the governor shut us down. Closed off indoors, and we opened up a service window, and we started what we understand is the very first in North Carolina beer pickup and delivery. And the way that we know that we were the first is because I had to get ABC for the state to sign off on beer delivery. And when I called them and talked to the people there, they told me specifically that no one in the state has asked if they could do this, that they would have to confer with the state attorneys, and that they would get back with us. And the state attorneys called me, and I had to talk to them about it, and they signed off on it. So as far as we know, we're the first ones in the state to do beer delivery.
Yeah.
And they allowed us to do it with, you had to have a membership, so we'd bring people with memberships actually in beer, and have contactless beer delivery to their house. And the community here in Winston-Salem really kept us alive and kept everybody going. And so I can't thank them enough for getting all of our employees through this. And we were actually able to create 6 new jobs for people who didn't have jobs during the pandemic. So that's something that we beat our chest. We did not close one day. We closed one day, I'm sorry. Excuse me. We did close one day, but that was because we were snowed in. And there was no way. There was some days that we didn't make hardly any money at all. It was $7 were coming in, and I still had to keep paying employees and things. But we got through it, and it was just because the community that we had built for the first 4 years of our existence or 3 years of our existence had been so strong. They really supported us, and so we're extremely thankful for keeping this place alive. Now, when the doors were closed, we turned this into a production studio, and that's when we started Monstercade TV. Monstercade TV was just basically a way to kind of channel my creativity as well as the creativity of a lot of artists that were stuck at home not doing anything. I mean, for a lot of creatives such as myself, idle time is just the worst. I mean, I like doing things all the time, nonstop. Anybody that's around me knows that I'm going to have a billion ideas. Maybe 1,000 of them come to fruition, but of that billion, and everybody around me is going to be doing something. If you like that kind of energy, that's the kind of people that work here or that I hang around with, because they're like, hey, what are we doing today? Well, I've got a few ideas. Let's do this. Let's make this, or let's try to do this. And so Monstercade TV was started then, and we had 3 flagship programs that we started on our YouTube channel, Monstercade TV on YouTube, which one was canceled, which was kind of a talk show. It was kind of like a podcast, but it was all in video. And like I was telling you that earlier, it was about an hour long. We would film for about an hour, just me and some friends hanging out, and then we would chop it down to 15 minutes just so it's concise and just us laughing and telling the good parts, right? Mm-hmm. Like we would cut all this interview out, like what I'm talking about right now. So, and the other one was Sex Blab with Mech and Sav, which had 2 of our bartenders, and they gave the worst advice on sex. So you could you could send in questions, and then they would sit around with a talking skeleton on our stage and just give this really bad sex advice. It was great. And it was all about kink and all this other stuff. It was really weird, questions. You could just send them the strangest ones, and they would give questions. But normally they were drunk by the time that they had the filming started, so the answers were awful.
That's probably the best.
Yeah, it was great. And the further that the show went along, you just saw them kind of just slurring words and stuff. So, and the last one, finally getting to your answer. Cockblock Theater. Cockblock Theater was created with me and Annette Lowe, who is an amazing comedian, and she and I had this idea a long time ago. I collected a ton of old VHSs, and one day when I bought a bunch of VHSs from a company that was going out of business, they also gave me boxes of old Betamax porn.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was unopened and everything. So I was like, what am I going to do with this? I got to make money off of this.
eBay.
So we started scanning the covers of them and selling them as posters at art fairs. This is before Monstercade.
That's great.
And so it was fun. Yeah, we all these posters of pornos. Yeah, you could go to an art fair and they're like, there's a nice carving of a chicken. Somebody has knitted a scarf, and then you have porno posters. And that was us. So we made money off of that. But I was like, it'd be hilarious? Let's just cut out all the sex scenes and just leave these horribly acted plots. So she and I would sit around and watch these pornos and just try and try to see which plots were the worst. Yeah. And it was kind of weird. It was like a Saturday. It'd be Saturday afternoon. And be like, "What are we doing today? Oh, we got to get through these pornos." I know we got to watch. And she was living with a roommate, and I'll never forget. This was so embarrassing. We were sitting around watching pornos and just oh my gosh, this is such a slog to get through. I could care less. Of course, we're fast forwarding through all the sex parts, and her roommate's mother walks in the door. Right when we're watching these pornos, and I'm trying to explain to her, I'm so sorry, ma'am. We're really doing this for research. We're really not watching pornos together. I swear. It was super embarrassing. But so that's where that was the genesis, the start of Cockblock Theater. And I thought it'd be hilarious if we were let's make it as elegant as possible. Let's make it like Masterpiece Theater. And so you have a glass of wine in front of a fireplace, and you do some research, and it's extremely well written, it's very intellectual, and then just the worst pornos that we can find with all the sex cut out. So yeah, and cut it down to like the best, 10, 15 minutes of it, and then just be done. But yeah, so season 2 just season two just came out like a couple of weeks ago, and it is just the dumbest idea. That was always our favorite. Like, so that got us season 2. The rest of it, Sex Blab, I think we're just too busy for Sex Blab, and plus I don't think they're drinking as much, so it's not going to be as great. Got unhealthy. Yeah, the Canceled will come back pretty soon here on Monstercade TV, but yeah, Cockblock is pretty stupid. I love that idea.
It was so I saw where you had posted on I believe it was Facebook the weird German ET porn.
Did you watch it? It
Oh
was terrible.
yeah, it was.
Where it looks like that ET looks like a burn victim or something like that. It's just like there's nothing sexy about this at all.
And the way they're playing it too, they're very intimate. Like, oh, I'm just so glad to be with you. It's like, what in the hell?
And why did they
am I
make
watching?
ET? Yeah, so anybody that has seen this, the ET porn, it's strange because all right, so this female ET comes to Germany in like the 1800s for some reason. And so all of these people are like it's like the Victorian age or something like that. It's not even the 1800s, it's like Victorian age. And so so you have two weird plots going there. Number one, you have aliens and also Victorian era Germans. And then that has to somehow meld into some sexy.
I think that's supposed to make it more taboo.
That's a very specific kink, is what that is.
Okay.
Victorian alien sex is very strange. It's not a good porno at all. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I did want to see all the, the sex scenes, of course, but then I'm like, well, that defeats the purpose. It's like I'm supposed to be sitting here confused and frustrated all at the same time.
Yeah, it's terrible. I give that a 1.5 wanks out of 10. That's not a. It's
what's
not great.
been your favorite one so far that you've seen?
The one that's coming up. There's one that Annie and I absolutely love called Gay Racula, and we have been sitting on that one. Like she has rewritten, I think, the intro for that like 5 times because we love it so much. Gay Racula is so terrible, but that's coming up. Like I think that's in another. It's like the 3rd episode that's coming up. So the 2nd episode launches like in a couple of weeks, and so yeah, I think that's the 3rd episode that comes out. Gay Racula, that is ridiculous.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you could actually do that with those 2 words.
Gay Racula, yeah.
I mean, there's Blackula.
Yeah,
so.
Blackula. I kind of get, Gay Racula.
You can Kula anything.
So have you seen Nympho-Coed Zombies? The pornography?
No. Is this
It's a real one.
That's
the first and the last one I ever watched.
That's your first porno and last porno?
Yeah.
That's a weird porno to start with.
Yeah, that's specific.
That is a very specific.
I am an odd bird, as I did state
So
earlier.
did you pick this up? Did you buy this for yourself?
I rented it.
You rented it? How do you rent pornos anymore?
Because it was like a long time ago, and Blockbuster...
Blockbuster?
whatever.
No was it Blockbuster?
I think it was like not Blockbuster, but
Okay.
one of them.
Yeah, because I don't think
You go
Blockbuster
behind
had
the-
porno.
you
You
go-
go behind.
the
It was like Choice
curtain.
Video or Action Video. You could go in like
It might have been action, but no.
Yeah, you go in the
Yeah, so
back.
they had a curtain.
They had a curtain in the back room. Yeah.
Because, no, this was in Florida. I moved to Florida. Yeah, so this was Nympho-Coed Zombies. That's horrible. You should watch it.
Yeah, Here, it's just like saying, "Oh, this tastes bad. Taste it," or "It smells bad. Smell this."
Well, I mean, you're on a theme. I'm sure you could get some candy out of it. There's a lot of.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that we do here that I have trouble like explaining to my mother what I do. 'Cause my mom still loves me very much. My parents still are very
nice.
proud of me, and I have to like, hey, so
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. But
I know my mother's the same way. She's like, I don't understand why you like horror movies and heavy metal. I love you. I don't know where you got that from. Same kind of vibe, It's like, well, I appreciate you still love me, even if you don't get it.
yeah, I mean, a mother knows.
My
Mother
parents
knows.
encourage my oddities. They're really good about it. My mom even gives, because I collect phalluses, really pretty ones, and my mother's even given
Really
me
pretty
some.
ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, that
And that's
seems
a-
contradictory.
No,
No pun
they're
intended.
beautiful.
Well, good lord! You know how difficult it would be to date you. Then you have like all kinds of stuff. You know that like how am I going to measure up to all of her other
No, they're very artistic.
phalli?
This ball of cocks over
I know
here.
exactly.
I wish I had a wall of cocks. Man,
Rate
I don't. I wish.
I rate your penis. That's about a 4. I've seen better.
Yeah, they're like in
Beautiful.
descending order.
I know exactly.
Point to 1 on the shelf over there.
Now that's a 10.
You're bringing back some good memories.
Good Lord. Yeah. So, but mother knows. Especially yesterday, or 2 days ago, my mom came here because it's great. Because I love the fact my parents will come to shows and stuff.
That's
You'll see them
awesome.
every once in a while. They just come out, and they'll just be like, "Hey, we're around Monstercade. You're there," and they'll just come out, or they'll say hello to the staff. And she came out the other day, and she was telling my one of my bartenders, Ian. She was like, Carlos, he was cleaning out the back room, and there was a bunch of baby doll heads, and so he was just like, I'll just throw these in the trash. And I knew he would want these, so I kept them. I didn't throw them in the trash because I knew he would want them. And she produced the bag, and my mother knows because I want those baby doll heads. I was gonna I'll do an art project with that. She's like, no, my son would want these beheaded baby dolls. Like he's gonna definitely want this. He doesn't know what he's talking about right now. He's gonna want this. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm the same way. Anything that macabre, it's like, yeah, I kind of want. I don't even have to do anything with it, but something will happen around these. I don't even know what it is, but something will occur, and I will do something about it because that's really neat. Like at the very least, I'll go give it to Holly down at Major Tom's. She'll figure something out for you.
Yeah. Those guys are Major Tom's. They got some good stuff. Yeah, Holly's great.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty cool. I was happy to see that place because I went in a couple of times. For instance, they have I think they have a deer that's dressed up like ours. So I don't know who was first, but we didn't know that when we have a drag deer up on our wall, and I think they have a drag deer too. So they're in the same mentality that we're at. Yeah. And also those. So you're hearing like screwing and stuff like that. See, we're hearing screwing like in the walls actually right now. They're fixing up slappies finally.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, it's about time.
Where was that on your questionnaire? What's happening to slappies?
I have not eaten at Slappy's.
You've never eaten there? Don't start because I've got 15 pounds on me.
Okay, no, I'm very careful about what I ingest.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Slappies will put some pounds on me.
I considered it and I looked at the menu like there's nothing here I can fucking eat.
Really? Do you have a picky stomach or is it? Or are you just a picky eater?
Both.
Really?
I'm particular because life is short. So I'm particular.
Oh, no, life is short. It's supposed to work the opposite
that's
way.
What I was about to say.
Life is short. You're supposed to eat whatever you can eat.
I eat whatever I like, but I don't like.
I'm telling you, it's good. It's super, super good. It's
I've also never eaten a Twinkie. I smelled one and I touched one once, and I don't.
You never had a Twinkie before?
No, dude, I don't like nasty shit.
You don't know it's nasty.
Yeah, I do. I could smell it. It's gross, and I touched it.
Hold on,
gross.
you could smell a Twinkie and know that it's gross?
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Twinkie smells like other than sugar.
I know.
I
don't have a sweet tooth. I don't want like sticky.
You're like
Really?
on South Park.
Maybe I don't like fried chicken because it's the fried part. I know. I just never.
Yeah, you're getting more. This interview should be about you. You have a wall of dicks, and then on top of that, you won't eat fried chicken, and Twinkies smell too weird for you.
They're gross. They're spongy. They like.
I'm disappointed.
I know.
Really?
Twinkies.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm not going to say that Twinkies are the best, but I would say that everybody needs to try it.
I did, and I played with it, and that's as far as I got. I squoze it, and I took it apart.
Squoze it.
And I macerated.
So you dissected a Twinkie.
I squeeched it. Yeah, did some things with it.
Jeez, that poor Twinkie.
Well,
that was not what it was meant
That's what you get when you try and feed me a Twinkie. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, if you tried it, at least you can say you
I tried it with my fingers.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good enough.
Well, I did want to ask you about the decorations and whatnot. A lot of this seems to have sort of a retro, kind of like a 50s sci-fi horror vibe to it.
So,
is that, intentional?
Well, there you go. Yeah, our mascot is based off of Robot Monster, which is in public domain, so no one can sue us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
Robot
knew I'd
Monster
seen
is.
that before.
Roman is in public domain. So actually, it was based off of that. It isn't exactly that. Mm-hmm. Our mascot, of course, is like a green, a space alien that looks like Roman. But her name is Zarlos, Princess Zarlos. I did not name her that. Some people named her that. We actually had action figures at the beginning.
Really?
For 2 years, we had action figures. Yeah, done by Maggitarius and Figure Fetish. and it was awesome. They were really awesome. We were actually going to make an entire line of action figures at one point. Or they weren't action figures; they were actually toys. They were resin toys. They glowed in the dark and everything. They were really cool. And they came with all this awesome packaging. They were really neat. So yes, Princess Zarlos, that sits atop our roof normally. If people remember that, we actually had her sitting on the top of the roof, and like there used to be a TV inside of her head that would project Godzilla films out into the street, which was really cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, everything is kind of retro. I mean, that's the way I grew up, right? So I was just one of those kids that loved old school monster films. Anything by Hammer, of course, anything by Toho or Dai or any of those like old Japanese kaiju monster stuff I was really into, as well as 1950s, 60s, 70s sci-fi, and 80s stuff, right? Yeah. So I was just all into that. I was just like one of those kids that like would buy every book at every Scholastic fair, that at school and stuff like that. Anything to do with monsters, I was there, and I did research nonstop. I would just read all the time and just go to the local library or go to like Action Video or Blockbuster and try to find the oldest, most obscure films that I could find just to watch them.
I love the old ones.
When I was in 6th grade, I was also into like a lot of exploitation films, and I'll never forget this. I was really into blaxploitation. By the time I was like in 6th grade,
like Dolomite
like Dolomite, Superfly, and stuff. And a lot of the like Black Caesar and like a lot of the more obscure ones I was really into. And I'll never forget my 6th grade birthday party. I got my dad to rent me Superfly, and I had all my friends come over for a sleepover. And I was like, hey, I'm renting Superfly. And they were super excited because they thought it was like a superhero film. They were like, oh, it's going to be like Superman or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with a fly. Yeah. And little did they know it was about a street hustler, trying to get away from the man, being framed for cocaine and like, and all this other, he was a pusher. Yeah, exactly. So you had all these like little kids at my 6th grade birthday party watching Superfly, just having their minds blown like, is this? Man, this is the street life. You don't know about this. I had been well versed in this already. I love how you're just going to listen to like all this screwing that's in the background.
Hopefully it won't pick up too much. If it does, I'll see if I can clean it up.
No, I don't care.
I'm not too worried about it.
Well, look, yeah.
So do you actually believe in monsters, or do you believe in actual monsters?
You know what? I love... How about this? I'll answer that. I love the realm of possibility for it.
Okay.
So there was at the beginning of Monstercade, at the very beginning, we thought, I keep saying we, I thought it would be funny. See, the reason why I say we is so that way I can like blame somebody else, like it's a phantom person. Like, oh no, it's the royal we actually.
Yeah, it was a collective screw up.
It's a collective screw up. Yeah, exactly. No, it's my screw up. So I had this idea of. Good Lord.
I'm getting it in there.
I know, right? They're right here. And I'm sure they can hear us, too.
Probably, yeah.
We're just waiting for
as long
something.
as dust doesn't land on us, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I'm just happy they're doing something over there. Anyway, so, like...
I think every time we mention it, it gets worse. It seems like...
They're really screwing in there.
Monsters.
I had this idea. Yeah, so I had this idea of... creating making Monstercade into a cryptozoology kind of museum, right? So I was planning on getting Bigfoot paraphernalia, stuff from the Jersey Devil, and collecting all this stuff, right? If you see on our walls behind you, there's actually a Bigfoot foot, a cast that is framed.
Oh, yeah.
You see it right over there? Okay.
Yes.
So that's as far as I got. But this is amazing. This story is amazing. So that was the first thing I looked for. Well, I got to have a Bigfoot foot, obviously.
Yeah.
So I look on Craigslist of all places. And lo and behold, I find one, and it's in Jackson, Tennessee, which is about 9 hours away. They were only selling this Bigfoot foot print, or what do you call it, a cast, for like $30. So I did not want to drive 9 hours there and 9 hours back for a $30 cast. So I call the people and say, hey, To tell them, ask them if I'll pay you an extra $50 if you can just ship it to me. Because obviously, where do you find these things? I can't believe I found one on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It just gets better and better.
Good.
There's
There's something fell. Something fell here.
I bet they can hear us commenting. They're
I know.
like, drill the shit out of it.
So.
You know what we're doing? Stop laughing at us.
So I called the guys. And I'm like, hey, so I'm calling from North Carolina. How you doing? And an old lady picked up the phone. I'm calling about the Bigfoot foot. And she's like, hold on just a second. Hey, Jim, they're calling about the Bigfoot foot. And so Jim gets on the phone. And he's like, hey, hello. How are you? You're calling about the Bigfoot print? It's like, yeah, I live in North Carolina. I was wanting to know if you would ship it. I would love to get it from you guys. I'll pay an extra $50. And he's like, yeah, okay, of course I can do that. Great. Well, while I got you on the phone, how did you come across this? You got to have a good story about this. And he says, oh, well, everybody knows that they live around here in Jackson. And you hear his wife in the background saying, tell him about the bean field. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, the bean field, we were down. So, bean field, we were driving down with me and my wife and my daughter. And we saw a family of them. They were just all, I was like, you saw a family of big feet, of Sasquatch? Yeah, they were just there. We stopped our car and got our phones out, and they just walked back in the woods. We couldn't get them. And I was like, so is that how you got this print, Jim? Like, no, sir. I got that. I know, it's right in my ear. I got this one from hunting. I was like, really? So you hunt? And he's like, well, I did back in the day. So what I did, me and my friend, we used to get up on our perches and get up there at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would talk to each other through our walkie-talkies and wait for the deer to come by. And he said, at like 6 o'clock in the morning, I looked through my scope. I'd fallen asleep and I looked through my scope and I saw the creature. The creature was down by the creek and it was getting a drink of water. And I looked at through my scope or my rifle. And this is, so normally, all right, pause on that story. So he sees the creature down from his ledge, down at the creek. This is what's believable to the story about me. Because if I was telling the story, this is the way the rest of the story would have went. I saw the creature through the rifle of my scope, or the scope of my rifle. I shot at the creature. Creature screams. I chased it through the woods, through a blood trail, right? That's anybody's story. You had a gun in your hand. You would try to shoot the creature, of course. That was not his story. His story was, I saw the creature through the scope of my rifle, and I must have gotten scared because I farted. And there you go. Perfect. There you go. And that drilling.
No.
And I farted. The creature looked up at me and let out a howl and walked away. And I was too scared to come down from my thing. Any normal person would not tell that story and say that I farted and scared away a mythical creature. And so, obviously, that I'm like, oh, that's a believable story. That story, sir, I believe. And so I asked him, I was like, and I'm trying not to laugh. And I'm like, will you please, like, print this up? Like, would you type up your story and give it to me? And he did. And right underneath it, there's a typed up story where it specifically stated, I looked down at the creature and farted. Got nervous and farted, and it let out a howl and walked away. And he's got I've got a picture of him holding it. And when you see this man, he looks like he could fart. Like he has had a lot of slappies. This man, so yes, I thought about like having that was too perfect though. I was like, you know what? This is all I need. I don't need to make a cryptozoology museum. This is enough. I've got the print, or I've got the cast of one. The story of a man who scared away a mythical creature through flatulence. I'm good.
I'm sitting there, I had this vision of the poor Bigfoot. He's just sitting there doing his thing, minding his business, and he hears that. Damn,
and looks up and it's like, no way, screams and leaves, right? But who would tell that story? Everybody would be the hero in the story. Again, you would want to be the hero. You shot at the creature. If you're making the story up, you follow the blood trail and then it's gone, right? No one would tell that story. No one in their right mind. It must be real.
And
it's got to be real.
I agree with you because there are people who lie and tell these weird, exaggerated stories, but they don't seem right.
Yeah.
That has a weird vibe of authenticity about it, like where you're saying something about that. It's like, no, I can believe that.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
I don't
And you
know
see a
why,
picture of the
but
man. Yeah, after the interview, go and read it. It's like nuts. Like, the whole thing, he signed it and everything. And so it's up there. I've been meaning, I should get him to come and tell the story.
I'm crying.
Get him 9 hours to come to Monstercade to tell his flatulent stories. That's right up our alley. That's
Please,
exactly
Jim.
what we'd book.
Jim.
I love
We
that.
love you.
I hope he is a part of some sort of a Bigfoot appreciation society. I hope he is, their head wampum, whatever you want to call him.
Well, word probably got around in Jackson. That's the reason when the family of Big Feet probably scared. He got scared of them. They were like, they saw him coming. They're like, oh, there's that farting boy. Let's better get out of here because
You might
we
have
know
got
it's coming.
kicked
That
out.
one was rough.
You might have got kicked out of the Sasquatch Club for the farting.
You farted
You,
out.
you scared him all away
That's
with
how
your
you
big
change your
farting
diet.
ass.
That's totally. Yeah. True story, apparently. It sounds like a true
It
story to me.
does. That's embarrassing. They farted.
Yeah, it's the only thing.
I got scared and farted.
What have you-
Screamed and ran away.
I mean, I feel like I, live that on some level every day with my two daughters. One of them rips one just to upset the other one, and again, that's where the authenticity comes
So I don't
from.
have any. I don't have kids, but it's always interesting to me to hear. So I don't get to see that side of women very much. So I know that like my friends who have daughters and stuff like that are like, oh yeah, the daughters, no joke. And I didn't have sisters, so I know how bad boys are. Yeah, but
Yeah, girls are neck and neck. I've been relatively surprised over these last few years, and boy, they're rough ones too. They won't warn you. Just be driving down the road, and then it's like,
That's your
damn,
daughters.
did you fart?
That's
And they're like, they're so proud. Yeah, they are my
Yeah,
daughters.
my
so.
sister and me, we didn't fart at each other, and she would get like, if we were in a car and someone burped, she would flip out and like, oh my god, that is so disgusting, and she would have to roll the window down. It was super dramatic.
kind of like you if somebody breaks out a Twinkie.
No, I don't care. Eat your damn Twinkie. I'll play with one.
Keep that shit from me.
Don't make me eat it or I'll hurt you. But our dad believed that women didn't poop, like, for a
There
long
you go.
time.
See, that's the thing is that
I mean,
you
he
ladies keep it
figured
secret
out
pretty
later.
well. Yeah.
We can. So what's something that you believed for like a really, really long time that was not true?
Something that I believed. That's an interesting question. Something that I believed that was not true, but I believed it for a long period of time. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not really quite sure. I don't
For
know.
me, I was telling her on the way in, I used to believe in jackalopes up to an unhealthy double-digit age.
Oh, I thought that narwhals did not exist. Apparently, they exist.
They're real.
They're real.
Yeah.
I didn't know. That's one thing that I just found out. Because I was
Okay.
literally having I was in an argument with my girlfriend. I was like, "That's not fake. These are unicorn fish. They don't believe. They're not." She's telling me, "Yes, they do exist." And like I got in an argument about it, and I was like, "No way." So yeah, she had to like.
Narwhals.
Exactly. She was showing me things on like online. I'm like, "Oh, that's fake news." I'm like,
my
please, that doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
That was one of those things that I
didn't know that it existed.
Well, it's like I'd seen pictures, but I didn't know it was, an actual creature
Yeah.
until much later on. And I was the same way. I was like, damn, those things are real?
yeah, David Attenborough never did a show about narwhals.
Did he
Did
not?
not know existed.
Yeah, because they seem so impractical.
They do.
They are, but I heard that one reason unicorns are thought to have existed is because of finding narwhal tusks. Or it's a tooth. It's a long tooth.
That's weird. Why would they
Because
think they
it's-
were seahorses? Seahorses? Hey!
Well, I mean, I don't know. They're
How would
probably
they find that and
fossils?
a horse near them?
fucking, I don't know, no horse near it. I don't know.
Then why would they? Oh,
That's
that's
a-
interesting. That's
that's
interesting
a-
that they
yeah,
find that.
like-
I always heard that like it was because jackalopes had there's a specific birth defect in rabbits where like the cranium would have like for people also that you can get horns and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's horns and there's like the different growths that come out of the skull, and that's probably where they saw that they thought they were jackalopes.
Mm-hmm.
Jackalopes.
I can see that.
Yeah, and maybe the same thing with the horses. Maybe there's like some kind of birth defect where they actually have horns coming out. I don't know.
I've heard that about goats too.
Yeah,
that
'cause
it's
I-
like maybe the horns don't grow right and they kind of go off center
seen
that,
and
yeah.
kind of in the middle.
Or they'll grow into like the head again. Yeah, this is very macabre. This is very
Supposed to
gross.
sand
Yeah.
those, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, those are the devil goats.
I actually just went to the Oddity show recently to go to those places to see if I see anything for Monstercade, because you never know what you're going to find at those places. So yes, and I saw several of, they always have like collections of. It's like Major Tom's all over again. Like there's just a bunch of things in jars, like pig fetuses. How many pig fetuses can we have? Yeah. Also, that's also a thing. I don't know if any of you have like. Do you have any pickled creatures?
I did, and I still do. I got rid of one of them. It was
One of them was this just too much?
No, it wasn't being preserved well, and it was getting disgusting. It was a bullfrog.
So it tasted terrible?
I wouldn't have tasted it. It was a bullfrog that somebody got for me that had been dissected in some school class, and it had like a brain flap. You could see its brain and its jaw, but it was just starting to disintegrate. So
see, that's interesting because like we had this conversation about like if you're going on a date, let's say that you went on a Tinder date or something like that, and you went to somebody's house. Now I know what the answer to this would be. You'd be excited if you went to somebody's house. I think I'd be like, all right. Well, if you had like a bunch of pickled animals in your living room, all right.
They were in a special closet.
They're in a special closet? Yes. You just keep them in a closet?
Yeah, and I have
these beautiful animals died, and now they're just being preserved in the closet.
They are not that pretty anymore. Like the baby bats and some baby birds that died.
So what do they do? Do you enjoy like just turning on your closet lights and then just seeing?
I want to make a small cabinet of curiosities for them. I also have been, when I lived in Florida for 11 years, I collected all of these dried, dehydrated lizards and sometimes frogs, and I have like. I would smoke Nat Sherman cigarettes, and they come in these nice cigarette things. So I have like a stack, like 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall of
dried lizards.
And I would like to. So I did custom framing for a long time, and I would like to. I love literature, so I want to get them and put them with a little nameplate with different authors. Like
that's interesting.
William
I like
Faulkner.
that idea.
I have a big crunchy frog that would be Ernest Hemingway. I'm not a big Hemingway fan.
That is interesting. That
sounds like an interesting variation on Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
It is. See, that's the thing it's very close to that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's Ed Gein. It's like a very Ed Gein-y thing to do.
Right. Yeah. If we
it's
find
very
people
true.
in your house, we're going to have to have a
Well, I mean, like skins and stuff like that. I mean, that's what you're just doing it with animals.
That's a lot of work. Like skinning something and preserving it. I've looked into that. It's a lot of work.
There you go.
And you need urine, and it smells just as gross.
You need urine?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah.
What?
For preserving animals, because I don't know.
Ew.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot from you. Unicorns, apparently came from narwhals, and you need urine to preserve skin.
Yeah. Yes.
This is very informative.
If you don't want it to get crunchy and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't want it to get crunchy. God forbid.
God forbid. You want your leather nice and soft. Like animal brains will help in the mix get it soft.
Well, that
There's
is
a lot of scraping.
If there's a case for golden showers, it's to keep it soft. That's right.
Keep it soft.
Right. Baby, you want soft skin, right?
Let's get on
this.
That's
actually not the urine.
What? That's not the urine? You have to have the urine of the animal?
No, urine is not what gives one soft skin while it's on their body.
You talking about loads?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, loads.
Yeah. Well, I remember hearing that, and I remember thinking, even if it's not true, I don't care. I'm going to use this as helpful information.
Helpful information, and it can be. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You want soft skin, right?
Look, yes.
Look, I got the natural lotion.
Exactly. That's very true. Very earthy. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Both of you have very nice skin. Once you know this.
Thank you. Yeah, I try. My kids say I have alligator skin. That's
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think that you look like what are you, like 40?
46.
46?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you look very young.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, they like to mock me. It's just part of their gig. I've taught them to find
fart on you. That's the whole thing. I'm learning a lot about your family too.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
you raised them.
Much to my wife's chagrin, they bust balls quite well. So.
Great, you're making them undateable for every man, though.
Watch that be the case. I'm sorry.
They're gonna live with you forever.
Right. I was doing myself a service.
We have somebody to take care of you in your old age.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and they'll mock me as I'm sitting there in my iron lung. Well, okay. Well, tell us. Are there any other things that we didn't address or get to that you'd like to talk about?
I don't know. Have I? I feel like I've bored you enough.
No.
Go ahead.
this is a very interesting and innovative place.
Well, thanks.
And I am curious if you would like to be one of the first places to accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. 'Cause if you
We
don't,
just laughed about that. We were laughing about like how cryptocurrency and NFTs are just for virgins who
really?
and shut-ins. We were laughing about that the other day. And anybody that I'm sorry to anybody that's listening to this, but you are a virgin and you have no friends.
I am not a virgin, and I do have friends, and I also have some Bitcoin. Because it's the people's money, so I'm an anarchist with a heart, and
It's the people's money. What is this? An infomercial for Bitcoin?
no, maybe I would like you to.
I mean,
It's awesome.
if as long as I can spend it on like getting a cheeseburger, yeah,
You
sure
can
thing.
actually.
Yeah.
You
Great.
can. Yeah, there are apps that you can buy gift cards of digital gift cards for all kinds of places now.
Yeah, I'd
All
be
kinds.
into it. You know,
Lightning wallets. I mean, which is because that makes the transfer go very fast. But
this really seems like an infomercial. You're really trying to sell me on this. I mean, yeah, sure, we would be into it. We'd if your money works, and I'm not gonna say
Bitcoin is
no to
the
that.
tits, man.
Yeah,
A lot
hey.
of the other ones, no. Okay, you're virgins and you don't have friends. True, fine. But Bitcoin is special.
I'll take your word for it. Look, I know there has been a lot of friends of mine that have actually made a lot of money on it. So hey, let's do it. That's completely fine. We'll do it. We'll keep you happy. We'll keep you happy and drunk here with
Okay.
whatever works.
I like that. Thank
Whatever I can deposit in my bank account. I'm
Right,
okay.
yeah. Like, as long as I can put it somewhere and
Because it's
successfully exchange it
For goods and services. Yeah. As long how about this? I promise you, when Slappy's starts doing Bitcoin, we will use Bitcoin.
Do they know how to use a computer?
Yeah, look, the people at Slappy's are real smart. That's the reason why their chicken is so good. It's like whatever they're putting in it, like meth or crack or whatever they're using in that secret recipe. It's one step away from Bitcoin. Crack, meth, Bitcoin.
They're all addictions, man.
Exactly.
I would disagree. But I can agree to disagree.
I respect that you're into it. No, that's good. That's good. And that you have sex. I'm into that.
Right.
The one non-virgin Bitcoin person. That's okay.
I mean, that's a pretty good name tag to have. You should have that made up.
One non-virgin Bitcoin.
Yeah, you'll be very popular.
It-
That's what you should put on your
It'll
OnlyFans.
definitely start conversations when you're walking down the street with people. What is that a band? No, this is me.
That's right.
Now I'm thinking about the other people that I know that are into Bitcoin. I'm wondering.
Are they virgins? See, the thing that you have to wonder means that they are. Are they having sex? Because when they fuck. I can tell from this man fucks.
Yeah,
I
no.
go,
Some of them do, and some of them don't.
See,
There's a some of them fuck a lot.
Oh, that's good.
They want
Good Lord. Yeah.
grind it in there.
I know
Thank
exactly.
you.
Well, I'm happy to know that you have friends that have sex. That's another.
Yeah,
It's great.
It feels like that should be pretty healthy. Good
Yeah,
for them.
good for them.
Yeah.
Applaud. I applaud them in their efforts.
Oh, but, all right. Well, so tell people what are your social media so they can find cops and
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, exactly. So Monstercade, we're very active on social media, especially like our IG, our Instagram. IG sounded so cool, like I'm like young. Or I just post on IG. I don't actually know if that's what young people say. I'm just making that up.
I don't either. Like my daughter, she's on TikTok.
We
I
just
like
started
saying-
a TikTok. We
I
just started
like calling
TikTok.
it the talk just to piss her off. She's it's like,
Yeah.
no, that's what people say now. You should
Is
look
it-
it up.
You're making your daughters look cool already off the
just
bat.
walk with her.
You're going to school and saying, "Oh, the talk." What are
Yeah.
you talking- yeah.
Nerd.
You're a virgin. That's good. You're keeping them virgins. No one's gonna want to date them. The talk.
Suddenly realized
Going to
that
prom by themselves.
multiple layers to raising a child.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. You're making them uncool, so no one undateable. It's great.
Good for me.
Exactly.
Wow.
You're dadding really good. That's real dadding. So, our Instagram is monstercade_bar. bar. There's it, Monstercade _ bar. And it's Monstercade Bar on Facebook, and I think our TikTok is also Monstercade Bar. That's brand new, so we're messing around with that. But our staff here are extremely friendly. We really are. I would say this with all sincerity. I think we're the friendliest bar because
You guys are super friendly.
yeah, I mean you have to be because I mean we're welcoming because like we're built for an alternative crowd, and
Yeah.
we want, just like I was saying at the very beginning, this was built for people that are tired of the same old bar scene or don't feel like they fit in. So a lot of creatives come here. This is basically ground zero for anything that's artistic that's happening in town. This is where it happens. I can say that with 100% sincerity, no shade on anybody else. But hey, we only book, we are heavily curated. We only book acts that are sonically or visually adventurous. So you're not going to see an Americana band that you can see at any other brewery. You're not going to see a bluegrass band that is playing, you know, at your local whatever theater or whatever it is. We only specifically gear ourselves towards people that are trying to go beyond themselves creatively and come up with something different. And with that said, we do also do metal shows, punk shows, and that kind of thing. Industrial shows, especially like in synth pop bands. We really love that kind of stuff. So we do have a friendly staff here. Anybody that comes in is extremely welcomed. We have a lot of people that are in transition as far as gender goes, as well as just all walks of life that they don't feel like they fit in anywhere. So you're going to have, number one, people are going to be really friendly to you here. And you're going to hear some interesting conversations around you because like these interesting people like to talk about interesting stuff. So you're going to make friends and find interesting connections here when you hang out. So we love that. We love that about this place. And I've said it before, and there's nothing more true than the statement that Monstercade is magical. Shows here are completely different than anywhere else, and I cannot explain the magic that this small space has other than when you come in and experience it for yourself, you'll feel it. When you come to a show, the energy in this small room is absolutely amazing. And that is the reason why bands choose to come here. They talk about how this place is home. They email me all the time about like, hey, can we please like play a show again? We love this place so much. And it's not because they make a lot of money, because we are small. And all of the, and I'll go ahead and say this as well. When we do shows, 100% of the door goes to the bands. We take nothing.
That's awesome.
And the reason why is because we want these artists to survive. Since we book artists that are from an underserved artistic community that may not be able to get booked at a regular venue or won't get booked at a brewery because they're a little bit stranger off the beaten path, we want them to have some type of, I don't want to say financial stability, but at least know that they're going to be compensated 100% for their
I respect that so much. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And like doing gallery shows or anything, like they
we do
scrape you down. It's awful.
Yeah, we don't do any of that. Nothing. And in fact, I mean, and we get gifts all the time. So everything that you're seeing on these walls, I mean, Matt Flowers did this, who's an amazing artist as well as, like, he's a good friend. He used to be our door guy for a number of years. He's a great guy. He was actually in the Pazuzu. He knew Pazuzu, and he was in the documentary on Vice. Yeah.
Matt, I think I know who
Matt.
you're talking
Yeah.
about. Did he used to work at Foothills?
No, I don't think he's ever worked at
Okay,
Foothills.
I might be thinking
He's got
somebody
tattoos
else.
all over his face. He's a
I'm
true
thinking
punk rocker.
somebody else.
Cool
Okay,
dude, great dude.
okay.
He's my brother. I love him very much. But he gives this, and anything art that you see on the walls or stuff like that are always gifts. People make things for us all the time. We have like a backlog of art, or they make us little things, and everything that you're seeing here. Like for instance, I mean, we turned the HVAC system into like a giant dragon or giant snake. Christine Toole and Catherine Canistra, and both of them are amazing artists, did that, as well as like the skeleton creature behind our bar. And there's things, and Sean Peters did that monster that's crawling on the ceiling. There's a bunch of different things that we continuously change out here because we just get a lot of gifts and people are inspired by this place or have art that won't go anywhere else, and they'll bring it to us and be like, you know what? this would go, I saw this, your place, and this would go perfect in it, and we'll put it up. And so it's constantly rotating, it's constantly changing, and I like that because this place is alive. Back to what I was saying, Monstercade is magical. This place lives and breathes, and it is always in constant flux, just like our lives. I think we have succeeded in creating a space that not only inspires others, but is a place, like I said at the very beginning, where I am actually being inspired by those who walk through our door. So I can't thank the community enough, and we're going to continue on. Like tomorrow's our 5th year anniversary, and we expect to be here for a lot longer.
So that's all for this episode of the Piedmont Triad Podcast. I'd like to thank Carlos for taking a minute to talk to us and telling us his awesome stories, and I want to ask you to make sure and visit them at 204 West Acadia Avenue in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, if you're ever around. Also, make sure to follow them on their social media, Facebook at Monstercade Bar, Instagram at Monstercade_bar, and also at monstercade.com and on YouTube at Monstercade TV. Again, a big thanks to Matt Smith and the Cowboy Spankers for letting us use their tune Not Tonight as our theme song, and I want to make sure that you go over to their Bandcamp page and check out all the rest of their music. Also want to thank Brian Falk for being responsible for all of our awesome art and logo work. Again, thanks for taking the time to listen to the Piedmont Triad Podcast. Until next time, Triad.
Should keep on moving. You're like the devil when the sun goes down. Stay away from me. Well, I'm too far gone. There ain't nothing here to see, babe. So you best just move along.